and I love farmers. But when I was in the cattle business and in the grain business, nobody ever come and offered to buy my farm or hand me that amount of money and say, here's the money for the farm, and now you get to keep the farm. Now, that's the deal Max has offered to dairy farmers. It don't get any better than that. You get paid out for your quota, and then they'll be like the dairy farmers in New Zealand, who now have access to a world market. Nobody buys Canadian milk, except me.
Can't afford to.
Can't afford to, no.
You know, the other thing about that really bothers me, and I talk to people all the time, and they say, well, it's protecting the farm, you know, the family farm dairy. And I just shake my head, because I'm an old banker.
Yeah.
And I used to bank, you know, agricultural industries as well as the big corporations.
Yeah.
And when I was a corporate banker, we had over 120,000 dairy farms in Canada.
Yeah.
And now we have the quota system, we have supply management, we have less than 1 in 10 of those farms that still exist.
Working good, isn't it?
So they killed off over 90% of those family farms because of supply management, because of the quota system.
It's 40,000 a cow.
Yeah, that's right, 40,000 a cow. So if you want a 100 cow herd here in British Columbia, so you can make a decent buck, you know, production-wise, you got to lay out $4 million before you buy your first cow. Now you tell me how many family farms are going to be able to afford to do that.
That's for sure.
You know, it makes absolutely no sense. It's turned all the farms into corporations for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's protecting an industry. And the other thing that really bothers me about it is, I used to bank all sorts of farmers. Everything from beekeepers to guys that ran greenhouses to cow-calf operations to beef producers to hog producers, you know, all parts of the industry.
Yeah.
How many of those producers are subsidized or are working on a quota system that guarantees their income without fail?
Yeah.
Only the 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right? If you're producing eggs or chickens or milk,
It's only the
You're
big
laughing.
hog farmers that are in on that, guaranteed income too.
Yeah.
You know, the ranch I'm on, we got, about 60 pigs there, and it's, just take what you can get.
so they're not helping the farmer.
No.
They're only helping a small percentage
A big
of a
corporations.
certain kind of farmer.
Big ones.
And you tell me where the justice is, and that's one of the things about the People's Party and Max Bernier as well, is we're talking about equality all the time.
Yeah.
As part of our platform.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going to subsidize farmers,
Yeah.
you should be subsidizing all farmers.
Yeah.
And if you can't subsidize all farmers, you don't subsidize any farmers.
That's right.
And if I'm a farmer or a mechanic, or a guy pulling wire for an electrician, or a school teacher, why is it that a certain industry is protected when all the other industries that the rest of us Canadians are working for are not protected? I guess unless you're working for SNC-Lavalin
Yeah.
or Bombardier.
Yeah.
Or some of the other favorite corporations
That's
that
right.
the government likes to throw our taxpayer dollars into.
Billions of dollars. Did you get your new refrigerator yet?
Absolutely not.
No. I'm still waiting too. Loblaws got theirs $12 million, I think. Something like that.
Pretty sad, eh?
When Bombardier sold their commercial jet division to Mitsubishi, did you get your dividend?
And I don't think I got any money back either when GM decided to close the plants and move down to Mexico and the United States.
What a crock.
Seems to me got a lot of taxpayer dollars tied up in that too. Huh?
Billions, yeah. What a crock. Meanwhile, the guy down here working on payroll deduction, he's got no place to hide.
That's right.
And we
Yeah,
keep giving it away.
We got a system that needs to be fixed. We got to fix what's broke.
Yeah,
And it's definitely broke.
it is.
And we can't wait past this election. I think
No.
if things don't turn, 4 or 5 more years of this, we're going to be in a hell of a recession.
Yeah.
We're going to be in a situation where the government has overregulated all sorts of industries. They're going to have taken billions of dollars out of the Canadian economy because of their carbon tax, and they're going to waste it because they always do.
Yeah.
And they're not going to fix the climate. They're not going to fix the environment. They're not going to have fresh water, in all the reserves across Canada, because that's not what their interest is. Their interest is looking after their crony friends in certain industries, and the rest of us pay for it, and that's just a system that can't last.
I don't think Canada will be here in 5 years if we don't get control.
I think you're quite right.
It ain't going to be here. Like there is a lot of anger in the West. And Trudeau seems to be completely oblivious to it, you know.
Well, the whole SNC-Lavalin thing was just to protect votes in Quebec.
Yeah.
And he doesn't mind breaking the law.
No.
I mean, how corrupt does a government have to be
Yeah.
when it knowingly breaks the law
Yeah.
to pander to a particular province in Canada
Yeah.
that already gets the bulk of the handouts? You know, and there's that's something I was going to talk about too. Is that, you know, like we have over $20 billion a year that gets redistributed here in Canada because of the equalization
Yeah.
plan, right? And those of us in the West inevitably wind up paying
Yeah.
those in the East, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Alberta's been suffering for the last 2 years because of
100,000
Trudeau,
people out of work.
and yet they are still tied into an equalization plan that says that they got to spend money and send it to Quebec so that Quebec can deny access to pipelines,
Yeah.
so that Quebec can provide free daycare
Yeah.
to every family that wants to have free daycare in Quebec.
So that Quebec's Minister of Finance can brag about a budget surplus.
Exactly.
While every government in the West is running a deficit.
Yep. You tell me what kind of sense that makes.
Yeah.
You know, and again, Trudeau is pandering to that particular group of voters, and he doesn't care about the cost because, like you said earlier, once you hit the Ontario border, maybe Manitoba border,
Yeah.
that's the end of the election's over.
We don't matter.
Yeah.
We may as well watch cartoons.
Yeah, we got a system that's really broken. It's really got to get
Yeah.
fixed.
It's got to change. I think people are getting more and more astute, you know, on account of social media, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, they used to, I think they always controlled the press. You know, you had your liberal papers, conservative papers, and they're still trying to do that. But I think social media will be our salvation as people get more astute and find out things for themselves. Social media, of course, you know, it can be both good and bad, but it's still better than just, you know, having that little click.
Without a doubt. Yeah, an educated voter is going to make a huge difference
Yeah.
going into this 2019 election.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I like reminding people of all the time too is that, you know, politics is not a spectator sport.
No.
We're not going to fix this system. We're not going to change this system unless people get engaged,
Right.
get involved, find out what the issues really are, find out who stands for what,
Yeah.
and then votes for somebody that's going to represent their interests in the
Yeah.
House of Commons without fail.
That's part of the reason I'm here every morning, and maybe the last thing before I go to sleep, I hear a ghost. It's my old Aunt Edna. She was a tough old Scot. And she used to shake her finger at me and she'd say, Ken, if you aren't willing to get involved in politics, you are doomed to be governed by them that are. Think about that.
Yeah, you betcha. That's Aunt Edna, eh?
My Aunt Edna.
Oh, bless you, Edna.